और आपको अपडेट करते चलें, ये मनाजिर आप देख रहे हैं वजीर आजम मोहम्मद शहबाज शरीफ के हमरा मौजूद हैं अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल एंटोनियो गुतेरेस। अब से कुछ देर पहले के ये मनाजिर हैं जो हम आपके साथ शेयर कर रहे हैं। सखर एयरपोर्ट पहुंचने से कबल तैयारे में वजीर आजम ने अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल को सैलाब से मुतासरा जो इलाके हैं उनकी सूरत हाल से आगाह किया और इसके साथ साथ जो नुकसानात हुए हैं उन नुकसानात से भी वजीर आजम ने अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल को ब्रीफ किया। तैयारे में वज़ीर ख़ारजा बिलावल भुट्टो जरदारी, वज़ीर मनसूबाबंदी एहसन इकबाल और अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा का जो वफ्द आया है वो भी मौजूद है। आपको आगाह करें कि ये अब से कुछ देर कबल के मनाजिर हैं जब सखर एयरपोर्ट पहुंचने से कबल तैयारे में वज़ीर आज़म की जानिब से आगाह किया गया था अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल को सैलाब से जो मुतासरा इलाके हैं उसके हवाले से। अभी सखर एयरपोर्ट पर मौजूद हैं और वहाँ वज़ीर आला सिंध सैयद मुराद अली शाह ने आने वाले जो मुअज़्ज़ज़ मेहमान हैं उनका इस्तकबाल किया और सखर एयरपोर्ट पर वज़ीर आज़म को और अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल को सिंध में होने वाले जो नुकसानात हैं उसके हवाले से ब्रीफ किया जाएगा। ये मनाजिर आप देख सकते हैं। आपको बताएं कि ये वज़ीर आला सिंध की जानिब से सैलाब से मुतासर इलाकों से मुतालिक ब्रीफ किया जा रहा है मुअज़्ज़ज़ मेहमान को।
Today, as our glaciers melt, as our rivers flood, and we receive almost 10 times our normal rain, 1/3 of Pakistan remains submerged through no fault of ours. The scale of devastation in Pakistan, as you know, is unprecedented. We've lost entire towns. Fertile lands have become lakes. Lives have been lost. Hunger, disease, and homelessness are rampant. We continue to fight as we struggle to provide rescue and relief for the 33 million displaced Pakistanis. Today, we are paying an incredibly steep price for mistakes that we did not commit. We are victims of a grievous crime committed by developed nations that has developed and continue to develop at the cost of the environment, a cost that we are paying. Mr. Secretary General, in the next 10 minutes, I'll try and run you through very quickly as to the scale of the devastation, and in the end, I'll make an appeal to you. Sir, I do not have a PowerPoint presentation, but I'll just explain what the situation is with the help of this map of the province of Sindh. Sir, 30 districts in the province, and on the north we've got Balochistan and the Punjab province north, and the western side we've got Balochistan, and on the south we've got the Arabian Ocean, on the east we have got India. The river Indus, the blue line that you see here, divides the province in two halves, and normally we face floods through river Indus, but this time round, and that as has been the case for the last two floods in 2020 and in 2011, we've had huge monsoon rains which were never here before. And I'll just give you an idea of how much it has rained here. This left bank of Indus, which you will not visit today, you're going to the right bank, and I'll talk about that also. The district of Naushero Feroz, there's a small town called Patidan. The normal rain in Patidan is 86 millimeters in the month of July and August. This year, this town faced 1763 millimeters. That's almost 2,000 times more, 2,000% more, 20 times more. The entire left bank had rains of this kind. Today, sir, you'd be flying, you're right now in Sakhar, where the Sakhar barrage is. From here, you'd be flying via Sakhar, Ladka, and Jacobabad into Usta Muhammad. In Jacobabad, we normally have 62 millimeters of rain in these 2 months. This year, in the months of July and August, we've had 783 millimeters of rain, almost 1,300% more. After going to Balochistan, you'll come to Larkano, Mohenjo-daro. The Mohenjo-daro airport, normally the normal rain is 60 millimeters. This year we've experienced 990 millimeters in Mohenjo-daro. That is 16.5 times more, 1,650%. On an average in the entire province, we've had 1,100% more rain, 11 times more rain than normal. In such a catastrophe, it is very difficult to sustain. I'll just very briefly tell you about the past floods that we've had. I, as a young boy, remember the 1976, which was a riverine flood due to breaches on the right bank of River Indus, and I remember the destruction at that time. More recently, we had the 2010 floods, which was a breach right here in the Indus River on the right side, and this entire right pocket was flooded till this lake, Manchur Lake, and I saw you asking a question about Manchur, and I'll tell you very briefly about it. This entire right bank was flooded, but only 4 to 5 districts suffered. And apart from these 4 to 5 districts, there was a little problem. There was a breach in Thatta district towards the left side of Indus River and Sijawal district. So about 6 districts were affected in 2010. In 2011, we had the monsoon floods, and they hit the left bank. The right bank there was no issue with the right bank. And about 6 districts of the left bank were affected in 2011. Similarly, 2020, mostly the floods was on the left bank, and 6 districts were affected due to monsoons. We had a little problem in Kambar Shadadkot because of the rains in the Kirthar range, and the water did come into part of Kambar Shadadkot district in 2020. But Mr. Secretary General, 2022 is beyond belief. 24 districts have been hit. There's water in 24 districts of the province, out of a total of 30. The 6 districts of Karachi, which we have not declared as calamity hit, also experienced, and I'll just tell you the numbers for Karachi. The normal rain in Karachi is 100 millimeters, and this year we got 1185 millimeters, so almost 11 times the rain in Karachi also. The Karachi infrastructure is in shambles because of the rain. We were, we managed to take out the flood water in 6 of the 7 districts. One district which is more rural of nature is we still have water in the district of Malir. The loss, almost 600 people have died. We have a count of 590 till now, but almost, I'd say this will be even higher. Almost 10,000 people injured, and most of these, both the deaths and the injuries, are children. We estimate that about 12 million people, we have a population of more than 50 million in the province of, we estimate that at least 12 million people have been displaced from their houses, or they're stranded. Even if they're in their houses, they're totally stranded, they are in islands. In terms of loss of property, we've got 3 million, as per the 2017 census, we had 3 million kacha or adobe houses, and these could not withstand the rain that fell from the skies. We fear that all these 3 million houses have been damaged beyond repair. Even if they're standing, they're not good to live in, because if somebody goes and lives in that house now, they would definitely suffer. Livestock, we have a large livestock population in the province. We fear we don't have a complete count now because of the water. We are right now in the rescue and relief stage, but we fear that not less than 500,000 cattle heads. Crop damage, we've got a little more idea because through satellite imagery and all, we estimate that 3.5 million acres of land has been inundated, or farmland has gone under water. Our entire cotton crop, which is on almost 1.5 million acres, is gone. We estimate the cost of this to be about 2.5 billion. You must have seen the trees while you were landing at the Sakhar airport. Our Khairpur district and Sakhar district are famous for dates. The entire dates crop has gone, and so are other crops. We estimate about rice. 75% of the rice is gone. About 30% of sugarcane is gone. The total estimate that we have currently is about 350 billion worth of crop damage. So in terms of damages, as I said, 350 billion rupees of crop damage. The houses, the 3 million houses that have gone, if you put a very conservative number of 300,000 rupees per house, 900 billion rupees. The cattle, the estimate of 500,000 at 100,000 rupees per head per animal, it's 50 billion rupees. So these are the losses of the personal losses to people. What we want immediately right now, I'll just go straight to what we need. Secretary General, when you go out, you'll see people are living under this scorching heat. Now, first they were hit by rains. Even today, we've got a forecast in the southeastern districts, in Parker and Badin, we've got forecast of rain today, Umarkot. First they were under these torrential rains. Now they are in this scorching sun. We've tried to arrange tents. We've tapped every source in the country. We've got some relief from friendly countries. The civil administration, the provincial government, the federal government, the armed forces, all of us are working together. But we still need for the current about 1.5 million more tents or tarpaulin sheets, because we use them as tents for shelter. Mosquito nets. We've tried, the Prime Minister was kind enough, we promised 1.5 million tents, and the NDMA is distributing those. And we've sourced another almost 2 million tents of our own. But despite that, right now we are short of 2 million mosquito nets. We are short of 2 million mosquito nets. The animals are dying because of mosquito bites. We need at least 1 million animal mosquito nets. Rations we are arranging ourselves. The World Food Program has helped us tremendously. I remember the 2010 flood and the relief that came in from the World Food Program was commendable. We need similar efforts this year. And lastly, current needs, medicines. We've exhausted our supplies here in the province. Our friendly countries are sending us some medicines, but we need medicines for malaria. We need medicines for diarrhea. We need medicines for skin disease that have come up. Apart from that, we have to come out of this. We are fighting this. We have to be resilient. We, in the province of Sindh, have set ourselves a 2-month target. We want majority of this water evacuated within 2 months. It's going to be a very difficult task, but we are resolute that we are going to do it. Not 100% of the water, but our target is to get 75% of the water. And I'll just very quickly tell you how the water would go. On the right bank, starting from Kashmir, all these districts, the water comes down to this small blue dot that you see here, which is the Manchur Lake, which right now is about 10 times its normal size. It's gone up to, on the southern side, there are hills. So we've actually sent water to the hills also this time. This water has inundated this entire Sevan Tehsil after breaches of, man-made. We cut the Manchur Lake ourselves, and now the water is going into the Indus, but the water coming in is still more than water going out into the river. We are hoping that the river levels will be more favorable in a few days and more water will be evacuated. So all this water will go out from the Manchur Lake into river Indus and then to the sea. On the left bank of Indus, the districts close to next to the river, there are river escapes of canals. So we are going to use them to pump water into these escapes and then flow these water from the escapes into the river. But the other districts which are away, starting from the eastern side of Khairpur, the eastern side of Nawabshah, the districts of Sanghar, Umarkot, Mirpur Khas, all of these would evacuate water through Badin into the sea. And that's the only way the water would go out. So we're trying our best to evacuate this water, and our target is to get 75% of the water out within 2 months, so that we can at least try to sow the rubber crop, the wheat crop in the province. If you're not able to do that, the farmers who've lost 350 billion rupees will lose another crop.
But that sowing will be delayed in any case.
Sowing will be delayed, but we will have late varieties and try and so when the water recedes, all the people displaced will go back to their houses immediately. They won't wait for the government to provide facilities because they want to earn their living. They want to sow their land for the next crop. And we'll need again a large quantity of shelters, of tents, of tarpals, of some kind of temporary shelters. And this target that we've set ourselves is 2 months, and we estimate about 3 million more tents that we are going to need, or shelters, if I may, for the short term, just this 2 months. We need to support these farmers. Farmers in the province, or in Pakistan generally, and in the province of Sindh particularly, live from crop to crop. We take credit for our inputs, and we pay the creditors when we reap the crop. And we don't have anything to pay back the creditors. We don't have any money. The creditors will not give us more money. Even they are out of money. So we need to provide them support, and we feel that we need to provide them support for seed, we need to provide them support for fertilizer, we need to provide them support for tilling the land, to provide them fuel for their tractors if they have any remaining. And the estimate there is about 50 billion rupees would have to go immediately to the farming community just to sow the Rabi crop. Livestock support, the other source of income of the rural people is livestock. And though the damage is much larger, but we feel that immediately we need to import livestock from areas, from countries which have similar climates or similar breeds, so that we can give to these livestock farmers, and another 20 billion is required. Our irrigation network is devastated. The estimate for revival of the irrigation network, and this is a very preliminary estimate, is 195 billion rupees. We need to spend 30 billion rupees in the next 2 months to revive the system, to at least be able to sow the Rabi crop, just to that level. It's not a complete rehabilitation, just put it on a ventilator so that it survives and is able to give water to the Rabi crop. Similarly, the road network, the total amounts are much larger, but we need to spend about 15 billion rupees in the next 2 months to make the roads motorable. Right now, you cannot go from Sakhar to Karachi. There's only one route, and the normal driving time is about 6 to 7 hours. It may take you up to 24 hours right now to get to Karachi by taking some detours, and you'd probably need a 4x4 vehicle. You would not be able to go in a small car. The government buildings, especially the schools and hospitals that have been damaged, we need to restore them immediately. And we estimate an amount of about 5 billion rupees for that immediately. Karachi, I told you, though it does not have water, when you go there in the evening, Mr. Secretary, tonight you won't see water in Karachi, but it had 11 times of the normal rain. The infrastructure is, and you would probably see that, is completely damaged. And we would need right now, in order to revive the infrastructure, and again this 2-month target, about 10 billion rupees. Then we have a medium-term target for 1 year. We need to make houses for these people. Again, at a cost of 300,000 rupees per house, we are estimating 900 billion rupees to make these houses. And they need a support. The provincial government, the federal government, and we're requesting the international agencies will have to come for the support. This is not their doing, they're suffering because of others. As I said, irrigation network, we expect to spend another 165 billion rupees just to revive it to where it was on the 1st of July 2022. The road networks, to revive it again, to bring it to where it was on the 1st of July 2022, we need 45 billion, another 10 billion for government buildings, and the Karachi infrastructure, 10 billion we need immediately, and another 60 billion we estimate in the next year to make it livable, if I may. I'll just try and end quickly. Ultimately, we need to upgrade our irrigation and drainage infrastructure. We cannot withstand these. We were not built for 10 times the rain. I don't think we'll be able to build the infrastructure for 10 times the rain, but at least we can endeavor to drain out the water quicker than what it takes now. In my, this is a very rough estimate. We need ₹1 trillion to upgrade the irrigation infrastructure, raise the dikes. The flood protection bund, which protects us from the hill torrents, was breached at 5 or 6 places, and we raised it after 2010 by 5 feet or 6 feet, but it breached at 6 places. So we need to strengthen that. The river dikes need to be strengthened. This year we did not have, we had just a heavy flood, not a super flood. We had 600,000 cusics at Guddu Barrage roughly. We've experienced up to 1.1 million cusics. The average flow at Guddu Barrage is about 400,000 cusics. The way the environment, the way the nature is hitting back at us, if we get 10 times the rains, 10 times the flows in the river, that's about 4 million cusics of water. Now, I hope that be doomsday. But this is what the nature is doing, and it's doing because of no fault of ours. And lastly, the urban infrastructure. We feel that the cities of Karachi, Hyderabad, Sakhar, in order that we do proper drainage works there, another ₹1 trillion are required. In terms of US dollars, this entire plan would be about $16 billion is what we estimate. When you fly towards Jacobabad and then go to Balochistan and come back to Mohenjo-daro, you'll see part of the disaster. You'll see water has receded because you're going towards the northernmost districts of the province. The water is receding from here and going southwards. There was more water here about a week back. As you go down, you'll see, lots more water. So the disastrous effect of climate change on Pakistan are entirely disproportionate to our contribution to the problem. We add, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I've heard you yesterday. We add negligible amount to world's greenhouse gas emissions, yet we bear the brunt of the devastating effects. It's only fair that we look to the world in the wake of the disaster that has befallen us. While I humbly phrase this as an appeal, it is in fact what we are owed by the developed world. Pakistan needs help. This battle cannot be ours alone. We look towards you, Mr. Secretary General, to help bring the world to us. Today, we look to you to help us to provide relief. Tomorrow, we need to rebuild. We look towards you to help us build structures that adapt to this climate change. We hope to build homes that allow the residents to live without fear of being washed away, and infrastructure that can withstand the fury of melting glaciers, torrential rains, and raging rivers. We also look to the world for helping in constructing drainage capable of handling such unprecedented amount of water as we are seeing today. We need to make international laws that restrict and prohibit developed countries from pursuing policies which result in catastrophic consequences for the less developed. We need to promote a green agenda and a resilient policy. We look towards you, Mr. Secretary General, and the rest of the United Nations to ensure that no other country suffers the way Pakistan is suffering today. Thank you very much. I guess I don't know if you want to say a few words, or we just move to the helicopters?
You want to say something? Say.
Sure.
Just a few words.
Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is difficult not to feel deeply moved when we hear such a detailed description of tragedy, of the loss of life, of the destruction, of the loss of property, of the lost livelihoods. But listening to you, I see that there is no loss of hope. But that hope to materialize needs the international community to recognize three basic facts. First, as you said, humanity has been waging war on nature, and nature strikes back. But nature strikes back in sins, but it was not sin that has made the emissions of greenhouse gases that have accelerated climate change so dramatically. So there is a very unfair situation in relation to the level of destruction that we are seeing here in Sindh. And so it is essential for the international community to understand three things, and obviously developed countries have an absolutely key role to play in the international financial institutions joining them. First is that Pakistan, including Sindh, needs today massive financial support to overcome this crisis. And I've been saying, and you repeated it, this is not a matter of generosity, it's a matter of justice. Second, we need to stop the madness with which we are treating nature. According to the scientific community, we need to reduce emissions by 45% until 2030. I'm not talking about the end of the century. I'm not talking about 2050. I'm talking about now. Now is the time to reduce emissions. And this will be essential in the discussions in Cairo of the COP. But the fact is that we are already living in a world where climate change is acting in such a devastating way. So there must be massive support to what usually is called adaptation, which means to build resilient infrastructure and to support resilient communities and to create conditions for those that are in the hot spots of climate change. And Pakistan is one of the 15 hot spots of climate change. For those countries to be able to prepare for the next disaster and to be able to resist the next disaster. And this needs a huge investment, and this investment needs to be provided. That's why we are asking for a strong increase in the financing of adaptation, of resilient infrastructure. And at the same time, there has not yet until now been a serious discussion about loss and damage, and I hope that the COP in Cairo will, for the first time, create the conditions for a serious discussion on loss and damage. And then I would like to say that what the UN is doing in Pakistan is a drop in the ocean of what is needed. We are perfectly aware of how limited is our capacity and our resources. But one thing you can be absolutely sure, we are in total solidarity with the Pakistani people. We will do everything we can, not only to use our limited capacities, but to raise awareness and to request those that have the capacity to support Pakistan to request that they do it. They do it now, they do it massively, and they do it also looking into the preparation of this country to face future challenges, to be able to protect their population when those future challenges are coming. Our commitment, our very strong and emotional solidarity is something you can count on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shall we move?